Imagine being 8 years old when strangers come to your village, not to conquer, but to claim you. They don't take your life, they take your name, your language, and your very self, molding you into a weapon for an empire. This is the story of a life not lived but translated. You are 8 when the counting hands arrive, not soldiers exactly, accountants of a human harvest. They weigh your wrists with their eyes, measure your height against a spear you aren't allowed to touch, tip your chin, inspect your teeth as if a future could be bitten and held. Your mother's hands are on your shoulders, steady and shaking at the same time. Someone says a word you don't know, Devshirme, and then you know it with your whole body. It means the road will not bring you back. Age 9. The road itself is a classroom. You learn the cadence of boots, how hunger has intervals, how a promise can be a kind of leash. Nights smell of wool and damp leather. Someone snores like a saw. A boy from a different village whispers that if you keep your mouth just open enough while you sleep, the homesickness can escape like steam. You try it. It doesn't work, but it becomes a habit, and later you will keep it because habits are a way to remember who you were. First courtyard, first bath, first blade of your hair shaved away. The world shrinks to cotton and discipline. You are told new name, new language, new prayers. You are told strength is borrowed from obedience and paid back in honor. You are told you are a seed removed from an old soil and pressed into richer earth. You are not asked whether you wanted to grow. By age 10, the day has a metronome. Dawn drills, bread, recitation. Midday forms, bread, silence. Dusk inspection, bread, sleep. You learn to sleep like a tool put neatly away. No flailing, no talk unless spoken to. Your instructors carry silence the way others carry swords, as extensions of their will. When they do speak, their words are measured, like coin. You learn to treasure the small ones. Good. Again. Hold. Age 11. Your tongue begins to obey the new language. It feels like a treason and a triumph. You dream in your old words, but wake in the new ones. You practice the alphabet with fingers that would rather grip a bow. You trace letters with a patience that has been trained into your muscles. The ink stains you like an early oath. By 12, you can form a line that looks like one man instead of many. Your feet find the same earth together. The drum tells your legs what time it is. You taste metal in the air before a storm and know to cover the bowstrings. You can dismantle and clean a matchlock with your eyes closed, your mind counting like a prayer. Spring, screw, pan, serpent, stock. You are not yet allowed to fire it. You are taught to desire the right to fire. Age 13. You meet the bow properly. Its wood smells like sweat and sap. The string hums against your fingers, singing a thin truth. Force is a conversation between pull and release. Your instructor taps your elbow. Lower. Breath. Release. The arrow writes a straight line in the air's memory. You will spend years trying to write that line again. You learn the bow has moods. On cold mornings it sulks. In heat it relaxes, lazy. You learn to be steadier than any weather. Age 14, endurance is now a subject. You run until your legs become theories. Abstract, distant, and then proofs. They return you home anyway. You drink water as if it owes you nothing. You learn to eat discipline. No salt when told, no sweets when told, no words when told. The body becomes a door you can open and close to pain. You begin to understand the pride in that. Age 15. Your world broadens into geometry. Formations are shapes you belong to. Wedge, square, crescent. You become an angle in the empire's mathematics. You watch older Janissaries in review and see how stillness can be louder than a shout. Their uniforms are quiet, their faces quieter, but something dangerous lives in how little they move. You crave that quiet. You practice it in the mirror of a polished brass bowl. Lift, set, breathe, vanish. A winter of reading. Not just orders, but histories. You copy lines that say empires are walls built out of men. You do not decide whether you want to be a brick. You learn the ways names change with victory, banners add time to themselves, and that defeat is a name spoken around, not through. You read about places you have never seen and realize you are being taught to love them without ever calling them home. Age 16. The first campaign. Not battle yet. Logistics is a more patient warfare. You walk. Fields pass, then low hills, then a river whose name tastes of other tongues. You see the empire from the inside out. Caravan, cook fires, mule lines, armorers, scribes. It is less an army than a moving city, a cathedral that carries itself. Nights are black silk torn by stars. A sergeant teaches you how to sleep under threat. Boots loosened but on, blade within reach, ear turned away from the pillow so you hear the ground. The earth is a talkative bed. Age 17. Battle, which is not like the songs. It has more waiting, more flies, more paperwork. You stand in line and try to be the line. The enemy is an abstraction until suddenly they are men whose breath you can smell. The first volley cracks the day open, sulfur and shouted names. You do what you were trained to do. Load, aim, fire, cover, move. The drum is your heartbeat. The officer is your spine. You learn distances, not in paces, but in choices. Too soon, and the shot blows itself into wind. Too late, and the wind has already chosen. After, the noise stays as if it's hiding under your skull. You smile easily for weeks because your jaw won't unclench all the way. Age 18. Your first pay. Coin feels different when it was not earned in fields. You spend it carefully, as if it could ask you questions. You buy a small knife not meant for war, with a handle of horn that fits your palm like a childhood you can actually hold. You keep it sharp. You cut bread with it, and sometimes a memory that grew too wild. You are noticed. Not for glory, not for one shining act. Noticed for the small, tireless correctness. For the way your bedroll is a line, your boots are lines, your letters are lines. For the way you do not leak. Someone higher up says your name and then adds a new word, Enderun. There is talk of palace schools, of service among rooms that smell of cedar and decisions. You are both flattered and afraid. You have been built for the outside, the square, the field, and now you may be asked to become a hinge inside a door you've only ever seen from the steps. Age 19 in the palace is a different kind of campaign. Your weapons are now language, etiquette, the art of vanishing inside protocol while still existing in the line of sight that matters. You learn how to walk on polished stone without letting your soul slip. You learn when to bow and when to be a bow, flexible but unbroken. There is power here that does not announce itself. You learn names as if they were trapdoors. You learn to step around them. Letters to your old self do not exist. You're not supposed to write them, but you compose them in your head anyway. You would say you will miss things you did not know you loved. The sound of rain on a particular roof. The way your mother would tie a thread with her teeth. The hill behind your village where the wind decided the order of the grass. You will carry these things as contraband under your ribs. They will make you both stronger and weaker. This is not a contradiction. It is a kind of truth. Age 20. You are sent back to the regiments, not as a boy, but as a nail that knows which wood to hold. New recruits look at you the way you once looked at others, as if discipline were a height and you somehow managed to reach it. You hate knowing that you have become a measure. You love it a little, too. The paradox tastes like iron and pride, a spring of siege. Siege is patience with teeth. You learn to count shadows on walls, to understand a city's mood by the smoke of its breakfasts. You dig, you carry, you stand, you sleep vertical between orders. You come to know that courage is not a single blaze, but a wick you keep relighting. There are moments of heat, yes, ladders, shouts, a gate that suddenly remembers how to be wood again instead of a law, and then a long exhale where you become inventory, one man, one ration, one night. Age 22. Promotion. It is an absence more than a gift, the absence of someone standing over you. Now you stand over others and find the view is lonelier. A boy asks you whether the training ever stops hurting. You tell him the truth. Pain migrates. It moves from your muscles to your memory, from your pride to your decisions. It never leaves entirely. It learns to wear uniforms. You are given two choices that are not choices. 1. Marry a woman chosen by a voice that can see further than you can. 2. Remain unwed because your marriage is to the line. You are told both are honorable. You believe neither fully and both enough. You choose. The choosing feels like stepping into a story written without your hand but with your handwriting. Age 24. Your unit is sent to a frontier that looks like the edge of the world because rivers love to pretend they're endings. The forest smells of wet bark and a language you do not speak. In a small village, you purchase eggs from a woman whose eyes resemble your mother's not at all, and yet something hurts. A child points at your cap and laughs as if honor were a toy. You realize honor is only sometimes visible. Mostly, it is a weight you carry in places no one can see. Age 25. You receive news you were never supposed to receive. A cousin caught the plague. The priest in your old village has a new bell. The house is still there. The hill still arranges the grass. Someone smuggles you a scrap. A few words in the script you left behind. Your eyes drink them like water. You are grateful and careful. Gratitude can get you careless. You fold the scrap into your knife's sheath, where the horn can remember it for you. War teaches you the empire's heartbeat. Peace teaches you its sleep. Both require guard duty. You stand in courtyards with your breath turning to smoke and tell yourself you are part of something larger. You are. This comforts and frightens you. You have learned to live inside paradox without getting cut, most days. Age 27. A boy under your command panics in the first minutes of an engagement. His shot goes wide, his hands go everywhere, his fear decides to pour out of his body through his feet. You put him behind you, you give him a simple job. Hold this, look there, breathe now, and you watch him slowly remember how to be a person. At night, he thanks you with the tangible silence of someone who cannot yet say words to fit the debt. You take the silence like a medal. You do not polish it. You let it tarnish into something truer. Age 29. The empire changes the way all great things do, slowly and then all at once. New weapons, old rankers who hate the smell of powder, administrators who love numbers more than names. You move through these changes like a man moving through a river, leaning, correcting, never pretending water is stone. You learn to teach what you do not love and love what you did not expect to teach. One night, the drum is quiet and the sky has that uneven scattering of stars that looks like handwriting. An old Janissary sits with you and tells a story about the first time he let go of his old name. He says it wasn't a ceremony. It slid off one morning with the sweat after drills. He says he found it later, years later, in the way he tied a knot. We don't lose, he tells you. We translate. You turn the word over in your mouth, translate, carry across. You think of rivers again. Age 31. You are given leave to visit a city that is not yours and that you will never claim. You go to a market. Everyone is busy making tiny arguments with coins. You buy a simple ring, not for marriage but for memory. You wear it on a finger that knows weapons. When you catch its glint, you tell yourself, I have edges that are not blades. Chim 33. Another siege, another calculation. You have learned to count in anxieties. The ammunition that's not here yet. The food that will run thin next week. The rival whose ambition rattles like a loose nail. You write reports that are more honest than safe but not less loyal. Loyalty, you have learned, is a braid. It can hold tension. It can fray. It can be repaired. Age 35. A boy repeats to you a proverb you once sneered at. Discipline is freedom. You don't sneer anymore. You nod. You think of the first corridor, the first bath, the first blade against your scalp, the first instructor's quiet good. You think of how a line set straight allows a man inside it to walk without shame. You tell the boy the only thing worth telling. Hold. Years become their own formation. Faces rotate, seasons drill you. Honor becomes less a trumpet and more a door. You close softly every night so the cold stays out. You know now what the old men meant when they stood so still. Stillness is not emptiness. It is a choice that refuses to be dragged. You are 40. The knife with the horn handle still fits your palm. The scrap in the sheath is gone, not lost, dissolved into the years, but the letters it carried are somehow yours now, sitting behind your teeth, warm as bread. You train boys who will one day train boys. You write your name carefully, the learned one, and beneath it, a curl that only you recognize, the shape of a hill done in one stroke. A rumor comes that the Devshirme won't last forever, that the harvest will change, that the empire will learn new ways to make soldiers. Rumors are weather. You respect them and then carry on. You drill. You check the pan, you count. You let the drum be your second heart. You will die one day, as all men do, in bed or in a small geography of iron. Your story will be told at length or not at all. But today is not that day. Today you stand in a line that looks like one man instead of many. The drum speaks, your body answers. You do what you were trained to do. You hold. And inside that holding, there is something large enough to be called a life. Not the one begun under a mother's hand, not entirely, but not a stranger either. A translated life. Carried across, kept,